It's not really that uncommon, but I am still surprised when somebody is asked to log in and then they go to a notepad or a document that has all of their passwords in it in plain text. That is probably, in fact, that's for sure not the optimal way to store and protect our passwords. Using a password manager would be much, much better. Well, on a Cisco device, we have some options about how we choose to store passwords as well. So in this video, I'd like to chat with you about 3 types of storage that we can use for our passwords on a Cisco device. And here's the 3 types I'd like to start with. If we're going to store passwords that would get a user from privilege level 1, user mode, to privilege level 15, privilege mode, we could use a plain text password, which is a really bad idea, and that's using the command enable space password space and then the password we want to use. And if that's the only password specified to get into privilege mode, it will work. Now, unfortunately, that password is saved in the configuration as plain text. So anybody reviewing the configs can see exactly what the password is, which is not a great idea. The next type, which is only slightly better, is a Cisco type 7 regarding confidentiality of the password in the config. And the reason I'm calling it security theater here is because a type 7 can be very quickly, with an application, very quickly broken just in a matter of milliseconds. So somebody can take the string, the encrypted string, put it in the application, hit a button, and boom, they'll know what the password is. So it's not really a secure way of storing passwords, but it's better than nothing. That's a type 7. And then we have the Cisco type 5, and that's used by default if we use the command enable space secret space, and then we put in our password we're going to use for privilege mode access. That by default uses a type 5. Now, as time has marched forward, a Cisco type 5, although it's way better than a type 7, a type 5 with enough time also can be cracked. So out of these 3 options, a type 5 would be better than a type 7, and a type 7 would be better than plain text. And to reinforce this and drive it home, let's go to Packet Tracer using the same topology we had in the previous couple of videos, and we'll take a look at each type: plain text, type 7, and type 5. So we'll go to the console on router 0 just by clicking on it, and I've got a question for you. Based on our previous videos that we looked at, what would we do right here just to verify how we're currently connected to this router? Are we on the auxiliary port? Are we on the console port? Are we telnetted some other way? How would we find out? And one way of verifying would be a show users, and that will show us where we're connected. So Packet Tracer is connecting us logically to line console 0 because that's the only line in use, and we've got an asterisk right there next to it that indicates that's our session. So in configuration mode, if we did enable password and we set the password of bad idea because it is and pressed enter, we've now got a password that's stored in plain text. If we do a do show run, press enter, there's our password right there stored in plain text. Now above it, from our previous video, when we did an enable secret and we set the enable secret to secret PW, it stored the enable secret as a type 5. And that's what we're seeing right here. Enable secret 5, meaning type 5. And there's the hash that represents the password that we set. So when the user logs in, they put the right password in, they'll be given access into privilege mode. And it's stored as a type 5 here in the config. And while we're here, let's do a do show run again. And I'm going to hit the spacebar a few times to go all the way to the bottom. Check out what other passwords are being stored in plain text. Our line passwords for the console, for the auxiliary port, and for the VTY lines. And it's now time to talk about type 7. If we do want to take our plain text passwords like we have for the enable password command and also for the VTY line passwords, we can convert those to a type 7, which again is not much better, but a little bit better by using the command service password-encryption. And that'll take all the plain text passwords and it'll convert them or encrypt them over to a type 7. So here in configuration mode, if we use the command service password-encryption and press enter, it just took all the plain text passwords, including the one for enable password and the VTY line passwords, and it converted them all to a type 7. So if we do a do show run and press enter, you'll notice that the enable password is now showing up as a type 7, and we have this value that represents the password that we set. And if we hit the spacebar a few times, go to the very bottom, we also have encrypted values for the password for line console 0, auxiliary 0, and the VTY lines. So now here's the bad news for those type 7s, and that is if we did a search with your favorite search engine and we searched for Cisco password cracker, there's lots of options that are provided for us. So they have some that'll break type 5, there's some that'll break type 7. So if we go to this one for type 5, here it's explaining that it can crack the type 5 passwords. This would take quite a while to actually crank through, but if we're trying to crack a type 7, we can click this link here for Cisco type 7 password cracker, and we can simply copy paste the password in. Let's go grab it. So here's the console 0 password. I'll just right click, copy that, go back to the website, paste it in, and then click on crack password, and boom, console PW. That was very, very quick. And the type 5 through a brute force attack could also be cracked. It would just take longer to do. So the major benefit of converting plain text passwords with the command service space password dash encryption, the main benefit is that in the configs, if somebody's just looking at it with their naked eye, they're not writing down those numbers and values, they won't know immediately what that password is, which helps the security overall from just somebody peeking over your shoulder at the config and not having them know what the passwords are. So in this video, we've taken a look at 3 types of password storage on a Cisco device. One is plain text. Ta-da! Here's the password. Just read it and you've got it, which is not a great idea. We have encryption light, which is type 7, which can take the password, a plain text password, and make it a type 7, which is a little bit better. And then if we use the enable secret command, it uses a type 5, which is better than the previous 2 options. Now, if you're asking the question, well, in a production environment, what can we use or should we use if we want our enable secrets to be very, very secure? And the answer is a type 9. We'll take a look at that in the very next video. Meanwhile, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.